Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger, and I will have to speak quickly. I'm going to give a shout out to Bases Loaded for something that he mentioned. He said to me, don't ever let a confused in the closet weirdo from the South like Kevin Scamuels influence you to call yourself a medium value man. Him and his followers is food, in my opinion. If a man thinks money will fix his women problems, then he's a trick and pretty much a plate. Ain't no value higher than a man of God. Bless. Of course, obedience to God is paramount. You won't get an argument from me out of that. The reason why I refer to myself as a medium value man wasn't because of just my earnings. I mean, my earnings are in the middle. I'm medium height. It's because I'm very normal. I'm very normal in very many ways. And I understand that Kevin is appealing to a particular market. I mean, he'll tell you he's not talking to everybody, which is fine. He's upfront about that, so I don't take issue with that per se. He let you know he's not talking to everyone and about everybody. But again, I want to point back to what I said, which is that if I became a high value man, I would still lie and say that I'm medium value or even low value. For one, I'm already married. I'm not in the market for anybody. Unless my wife says I can't handle you by myself. So there's that. I don't want anybody looking at me as a target. What's out there right now are those who would look at me as a target. That's it. In the West, that would be it. And I can be a medium value man and still be considered a good man outside of the West in many cases. And I appreciate you. Bases Loaded. I mean that. But I'm only saying this to say that that as a medium value man, I'm not saying that as a negative thing. It just means I'm just a very normal part of the population. I'm a very normal specimen. I'm not saying that I'm mediocre. The things about me that would make me a better husband are things that I don't know how to articulate all the time and put into words. I'm very good at conflict prevention. I'm very good at conflict resolution. I don't have to run from them. I actually am able to prevent a lot of them because they're not always necessary. These are the things that are necessary day to day in most relationships, including marriages. And when I say relationships, I don't even just mean romantic ones, but I mean in how you get along with even your relatives, your colleagues, things like that. I've been blessed because I've seen my parents. I've learned from their successes and their failures, their successes and their mistakes when it comes to just how people communicate in general. Plus, I teach my first language as a second language. So I have to pay attention to these things. And I've been very fortunate when I've been allowed to learn. But what I was getting at is that I am decreasing in value as far as Western women are concerned. Because these very same things that actually are pluses here are minuses over there. And what I wanted the Western men to know is that you will lose your value chasing after those Western women. Now, you don't have to chase after wicked witches of the West to lose your value. You can chase after Western women that are very normal. They're in the middle. They're not that bad or that good. They're very normal. You can lose your value chasing after them. Now imagine you sit up here pursuing the wicked witches of the West. You will lose your value making an approach to them because, number one, wicked witches of the West get off on turning men down. So they're going to turn men down and shoot men down, and they're going to do it as publicly and as recorded as possible. They'll even make false accusations. But at the very least, they want everyone to know that they're turning down someone because they can brag about that. When that happens, they want everyone to know. So they're going to ruin that man's reputation amongst other women, and they know this. He goes down in value. Plus, he may have to go through the trauma of the public humiliation. If I could still feel embarrassment past age 20, that would have happened to me too. if I hadn't lost the sensation of shame, and I think it's from my last fight that I lost it. But if I hadn't lost the sensation of shame, that probably would have happened to me. So imagine for most normal people who can still feel shame, what that trauma must be like when a guy simply he may even be nice. He may even say, excuse me, he's walking through a bar or a club. He says, excuse me, because he's going around a lady. Forget you. I'm with somebody. And she makes sure everybody can hear her over the music. He's like, I'm trying to walk around you. You know, that type of thing could be traumatizing, because at that point, every woman that saw this in the club knows to say no to him. See, and that's just one example I'm using. I mean, they're false accusations. They're rumors amongst your circles of friends, or in the environments in which you study, even in college, or rumors in your workplace that do this to men and women alike, but especially to men. So what I'm saying is that if you are open to the normal Western woman, pretty much, if you don't lock out everybody except the pick-me's, you go down in value. Because not only do they see you as not having value because of a low body count, which most men are going to have, you're going to be seen as less valuable to them. Based on the things that aren't wrong with you. Remember, they have too many options, and they perceive more options than what they have, and they don't perceive that these options will ever come to an end. So you've got a toxic environment. You trying to mate and start a legacy and continue your DNA and legacy in that toxic environment will ruin your value. And not only that, you will develop calluses, psychologically speaking. There are men who don't know what to do when they get into a normal environment. Imagine you marry a woman that's beautiful and submissive and fertile and is into you and interested and doesn't have a high body count. And she comes to you and she says, what is it that you like? Not just in one area, but in and outside of the bedroom. What is it that you like in the kitchen and in the bedroom, and even when we're watching a movie? What do you like? Most of you would not know what to do because you haven't thought about this. You wouldn't be able to articulate it. I know, because I've been there. That's what I wanted you all to understand. If you continue trying while you're young, you may mess around, finally get abroad, get outside of the West, not just abroad, but outside of the West, be able to find someone, and then you have to readjust. I'm going to tell y'all straight, I'll never forget 2020 during the summer when we were locked in, and I was locked in with my wife, and that's when I realized to what extent we had a good relationship, because I didn't mind being locked in with her, and I wouldn't mind it again. And I hope that I was as pleasant to her as she was to me. I was fortunate. But let me tell you something. The day that we were eating and we were on a small table and she accidentally knocked over her glass of Pepsi, she mopped it up fairly quickly. We got the glass up and everything. I remember feeling a high stress level as soon as I heard the impact of the glass and the shattering. Because, see, in the States, had I been married to a regular run-of-the-mill woman of the West, and mind you, my first ex was not the same nightmare through which many other men go. But I still would have had to deal with her being in a bad mood for a long time afterwards, and maybe even snapping at me even though I didn't knock anything over. And it was at that point when I realized, when I saw that my wife was still in a good mood, she wasn't happy about knocking the thing over and having to clean it up. And by the time she finished, the food's temperature dropped a little bit. But the point I'm making is that she was not upset with me and she never snapped at me. And when I realized that I didn't have to be worried about this sort of thing, then I thought how stupid I was for even tensing up like that and expecting it. There's some things I had to learn, and she was patient. And as a matter of fact, she doesn't really think much good or bad about my ex in Morocco. She doesn't know her, but she doesn't think much about her. She's not like happy about her. She doesn't say, well, I'd love to meet her one day. It's not like that. But the thing is, again, what I want y'all to understand is that she actually benefited, because that lady in Morocco that I married, also helped me to somewhat detoxify. I didn't expect this. I wasn't looking for this from them. I thought I was going to have to do all of that with no help from them because it wasn't their job. But I did, to a certain extent, detoxify. And so now the only thing that makes my value go down is just the fact that I'm getting older. And in some ways in which I am set. But I wanted y'all to keep this in mind. This is not something that's just me. Gentlemen, not only will you become lower in value chasing them, they will make you lower in value. They will make you exactly what they don't want you to be. They already don't want most of us anyway, but they will turn around and try to get you to become more of what it is they don't want. What do you think high heels are about, as I said before? For some, it's fashionable, but subconsciously, it has a lot to do with the fact that it eliminates a large number of men. That's where their ego comes from. How many men don't qualify? And that's part of the training of the West. And even the non-malicious ones will have to fight against that. And that's what I was getting at earlier. Gentlemen, I don't just tell you to leave the West for no reason. I tell you to leave the West, gentlemen, partially so that you can save what value you started with. Thanks for listening. Black mind, black heart, blackout. Assalamu alaikum. And black heterosexual, non-select male power just because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.